My name is Astha Symes, and welcome to Live Longer World. Hi, Dr. Lidsky, and welcome to the Live Longer World podcast.
Hello, thank you very much for invitation.
Yes, so why we age, that's a big question that everyone would like the answer to. And I think no one really understands what aging really is or why we even age in the first place. But one of the consensus theories, I would say, is that aging is damage accumulation. Over time, we start accumulating damage, toxins, environment, food we eat, and so on and so forth. And eventually, because of all this damage, our body can't repair it and we die. But you go against this and you say aging is not damage accumulation. And I would like to know why aging is not damage accumulation.
On general note, damage can be found in any disease, right? If you take a diabetic patient, late stage, a lot of damage. Inflammation, necrosis everywhere. Does it mean that diabetes is damage accumulation? No. If we take infection, dead cells, inflammation everywhere, a lot of damage. Does it mean that infection is damage? No, it is not. Damage is accompanying any disease, pretty much. Even a broken leg can be rephrased, reinterpreted as a damage accumulation. It is like a companion of every health issue, but in case of aging, since we don't understand what aging is, even on the highest philosophical level, this companion took the vacuum and inflated itself to become a reason. So, and I think this is a pure cognitive aberration. There is no direct experiment or observation that would prove that damage is a primary reason of aging. Of course, if we compensate some damage, we can get limited improvements. But this is true for any other disease. We can complement some symptoms of infections. Patients will be a little bit happier, but it will not cure the disease. So to cure the disease, we need to go to the root reasons and address them. Then it will be much more efficient than trying to tackle each little damage one by one. This is my take on damage.
Okay, so you're saying that damage accompanies every disease, and hence it's not fair to describe aging or any other disease as damage because, yes, it is damage is part of every disease, but that's not how we describe diabetes. Sure, it may have happened because of all the damage because of sugar or insulin levels not being right. But we have a different way of describing diabetes or cancer. But why are we so general about describing aging and just calling it damage? We should have a much better way of explaining aging.
Yes. I also don't. Important addition to that, I don't think that the existing empirical data is sufficient to say that damage is a primary cause. I think all the existing empirical data can be reinterpreted in the context of programmatic aging theory.
Okay, interesting. So let's get into the programmatic aging theory. You're saying that aging is adaptive and programmed. Can you explain firstly what that means, and then we can go into why you think that is the case?
So the two alternatives, very different ones, are damage and program. So in case of damage, it's like a tire. It deflates due to small little punches here and there. Then we need to inflate this tire, and the car will run well and smoothly. So in the case of programmed aging, we have some structural change, like a nail in the tire. The nail creates a puncture. If we try to inflate the tire, it will not help. We need to remove the nail, put a patch, and inflate the tire there. And then only we will fix the problem. So in one case, we need to just repair something. In the other case, we need to change the structure or break this problem, if you consider a nail as a problem. So these are two different approaches. And historically, programmed aging theories were sort of dismissed because of two very strong arguments against them. First of all, it's not clear why should we kill ourselves, because the idea of evolution is to reproduce, make babies. If an organism kills itself, it cannot do babies, cannot be good. And second, if aging is a program, then it should be executed by some genes. We have done quite comprehensive genetic screenings, destroying almost every gene, like in the fly or in worm. We never see immortal fly or immortal worm. So we don't see it in nature and in human populations, and humans are like billions of them there. All right. So if aging is a program, then this program should be exceptionally evolutionarily stable. And the reasons for this stability isn't clear. So these are two arguments: not clear what is good for, not clear why we don't see immortal mutants. So I have built a model that can resolve both of these arguments, but it is still unproved. It's still a hypothesis level. So now these arguments can be addressed only on high level of philosophy, evolutionary biology. It is still best model. I believe it's the best model present, because damage accumulation is also high-level philosophical model, as well as other evolutionary models like antagonistic pleiotropy or disposable soma. But since it doesn't get so much traction because people already think that they have passed this stage in like a philosophical stage in science, they need some proteomics data. And it is true for most of the fields, but not for aging. And now we are trying to build upon that. Yes, please, you have a question.
So when you say that aging is programmed, you mean that it's built into us, right? There's literally, say, this clock in us that is, or this program in us that is controlling our lifespan, and maybe the rate at which we age as well? Or would you say it's mostly just the maximum lifespan that it's controlling, but not so much the progression of aging?
I believe that progression of aging is also controlled. There are like plasticity mechanisms, because depending on the environment, the optimal, ecologically optimal lifespan can change. And to assure this ecologically optimum lifespan, we have mechanisms that can make us age faster or slower. These mechanisms are much more pronounced in short-lived species because by definition, they have much more variable environments. Right, so for a fly, like several months is the entire life, and the weather can change dramatically during this period. For us, if you live multiple years, multiple decades, the environment is like averaged out the winters and summers. And for us, the requirement for this plasticity is not that strong. But yes, I believe that everything is controlled, and every phenotype should have some evolutionary rationale behind it.
Okay, so, well, the big question is, why do you think aging is programmed in us?
So I think that the model that I have constructed is the best in terms of simplicity, explanatory power, and prediction, quality of prediction. So by classic epistemological criteria, it should be considered as a null. So, but I think for like a more, it would be ages to tell all the existing models and compare them, but just think about animals, how they age, and die. So they die as interestingly as they live, and there are many indications that in many cases death is good for something. So there are these simiparous animals I remind, like the classic example of simiparous animals is Pacific salmon that goes up the river, lays eggs, and then dies within 2 weeks from the conditions that hormone-induced, but it is like a deterioration of entire body. So it's clear program death that is good for something. Another example is plasticity of aging that we discussed before, but there are extreme examples. For example, migrating butterflies can live half a year as a migration isoform and several weeks as a resident isoform that doesn't need to migrate. And this is the same genome. Why this resident isoform doesn't use lifespan extension mechanisms that are obviously present in the migratory isoform? Why evolution choose death when it can choose longevity? So there are many examples like that. Also, use social insects, and I can go on and go on. But I believe that there are many indications in nature that death can be adaptive, and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't expand it to aging.
Right. So in humans, you say that it's your pathogen control theory of aging. The reason we age is so that we don't pass on the pathogens to the next generation, and hence we die. That might be a simplification, which is why I would love for you to explain what is your reason for why we age. In other words, what is the pathogen control theory of aging?
Yeah. So the basic idea is that we have chronic pathogens that do not kill, but do not let us to produce babies. So not all pathogens are of interest for pathogen control hypothesis, only a subset. In our population, these are likely to be sexually transmitted diseases like syphilis, gonorrhea. They sterilize hosts, maybe not completely, but maybe by cumulative effects, or in some patients, sterilization is complete. So they want us to live as long as possible because they are chronic. And at the same time, they don't care if we produce babies or not, because there are other healthy individuals that will produce more food for them, right? And from the evolutionary perspective, now we look from the host evolutionary perspective. These infected individuals are of zero cost because they will die without leaving any progeny. But furthermore, if they are interacting with their relatives, then they can be a damage to their own genes, because they can infect their relatives with these bad pathogens. Their relatives also get sterilized, and this will damage what is called included fitness. So my probability, my contribution to dissemination of my genes. If I infect my children or my siblings that are healthy, otherwise I damage my own evolutionary success. So, and for that, evolution may want to remove these heavily infected individuals. Now, if the disease is chronic, and if, let's say, probability of being infected is constant per time unit, per year, right? So then it means that there is no recovery. It means that probability of being infected just increases with age, right? So longer an individual lives, more chance is that it has contracted this bad pathogen. So, and at some point, by statistical expectation, almost every individual should be infected, sterile, and damaged. So this puts these population structures and pathogen loads as a key ecological determinants of lifespan. And with this theoretical framework, we can explain a lot of the phenotypes that classic models cannot explain.
But then why have this gradual progress of aging instead of the body just being smart enough to die as soon as we contract this disease, or this chronic infection?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So, for example, bacteria do exactly that. So in bacteria, they have this apoptosis-like phenotype. If they're infected with the phage, they try to kill themselves. the phage try to inhibit it, bacteria try to mock the phage, kill itself another way, or inhibit phage inhibition. So this is a classic example when the adaptive death is very well understood, very accepted. So the idea why we don't do things like bacteria, why we don't kill ourselves in response to any infection. So I think that the key difference is that bacteria, if infected with a phage, has nearly zero chances of survival. Clearing the phage for a single cellular organism is very difficult. We have much more better protection, so we can kill only infected cells. We have this super sophisticated immune system, and we are surrounded by many diseases that we really can cure. That's why killing ourselves in response to every disease would be a waste. So if it is a flu, it will go out by itself in 2 weeks, then why should I kill self? And for immune system, it can be a bit difficult to discrete. It cannot sequence the genome, Google the sequence, and Wikipedia the potential clinical outcome. It can see, okay, we have a new protein. What does it mean? Is it flu? That we don't care, or it is HIV that really is an evolutionary reason to commit suicide. So this uncertainty creates much more sophisticated statistic-based strategies of self-killing. So we have a paper in preparation for a long time. So this is a fun story behind it. But still some of the secondary phenotypes can instruct and inform immune system if it is a chronic pathogen or it is an acute pathogen that we need just to fight as usual and without trying to kill cells. So, for example, length of the infection is clearly indications that it's chronic. So that's why chronic inflammation accelerates aging, because immune system thinks, so if we are sick for 10 years, maybe it will be 10 years more, so then it's better probably to die. It's something bad. Or the age of first infection. So the typically these fast diseases like flu-like diseases, most of them are hitting hosts in childhood. They contact disease, get sick, get lifetime immunity, and this is a typical pattern for these acute curable diseases. On the contrary, chronic diseases are typically slow because R0s are low and they hit hosts later in age. So if an older host contracts a new disease for it, then it is more likely chronic pathogens to be of concern. And this is our explanation for immunosenescence, why all the individuals that get infected with the new pathogens are so susceptible. So this is a complex, evolutionary epidemiologic concept that we are trying to develop.
But say someone does not contract a chronic infection or chronic disease, I'm still confused why we would be aging. Why do we have all these markers of aging like frailty or weak bones and joints?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so the idea is that pathogen-host interaction is an arms race. We are trying to evolve better protection. Pathogens are trying to avoid our protection, and in particular, they're trying to avoid even detection. So, and in some cases, the host can be infected, but its immune system is not aware of it. So, and that's why we go to kill individuals prophylactically based on the expectation of being infected. So the uncertainty is both ways. So we have false positive signals from this curable disease, and we have false negative signals from the pathogens that can avoid detection.
Okay. Well, okay. So if we take an example, say you're 30 years old or whatever, and starting, say, age 30, or obviously you're not as active as you were in your 20s or when you were a teenager. Why are we aging in our 30s and our 40s? Like, why not just start aging much further in our 60s or 70s or maybe even 80s and 90s?
Yeah, this is a good question. So I'm not sure I have an explicit answer to it. So I think that in the wild, animals are often dying very soon after first aging phenotypes are expressed. So as soon as a cat doesn't catch a mouse, it dies of hunger. So I think what we see is really kind of overkill from the aging machinery. So is it possible to make a fast death? Maybe this is technically not very easy if we don't have a clear signal. So, for example, there are cases when we have adaptive death in response to like a clear signal. For example, these semiparous animals, they die soon after reproduction. Do you think it is connected to the epidemics of or similar sexually transmitted diseases, or diseases that infection takes place during the breeding season? But in this case, reproduction is a signal. Bacteria can kill themselves in response to phage, also sharp. So is it possible to build a reliable timer that will kill us at a certain age, healthy and happy? I'm not sure, because measuring time is a difficult thing. Yeah. Also, there can be that our contribution to our fitness, to our reproduction, can be different in different ages. The most bright example is menopause. So at some point, sorry, females. So the mainstream hypothesis is that after a certain age, the value of a female as a tutor is higher than its value as a mother. So, and tuition of grandkids overweight how well she can deliver babies herself. And the same can be also with less prominent phenotypes can be applied to other age-related declines, what we consider as age-related changes. So I'm not sure that I answered your question explicitly, but I tried my best.
So maybe I'm just trying to put the pieces together in my head. I think maybe what you're saying is that over time, the probability of getting one of these chronic infections just increases with every year you live. Um, and the immune system or the body tries to account for that. And it says that every extra year you live, we maybe don't you we maybe it weakens our immunity such that eventually we cannot fight this pathogen and we die instead of trying to fight this pathogen and then pass it off to our progeny or our relatives, that the body clock inherently tries to weaken itself such that we eventually die.
Uh, yes. So the idea is that it is a prophylactic immune mechanism, so that the probability is there. Immune system is not confident are we infected or not, and by just statistical expectation, it kills us at certain age when statistically it statistically expect to be infected. So this is a wrong wording, because evolution cannot expect, but it was built in a way that after a certain age, life is more detrimental for inclusive fitness than useful.
So then why do you think our how long we live, our maximum lifespan is increasing?
Because we are very smart, and so you mean evolutionary or like in a couple hundred years?
No, just currently, most people, our average lifespan is much higher than what it used to be for our ancestors. And it seems like more and more people can push it, obviously, if you live a healthy life.
No, I think maximum lifespan didn't change much. So I think if we open the Holy Bible, we have 120, which is very close to what the estimates are right now. Right? So just good life is now accessible to more people. Medicine, we have defeated many infectious diseases again, and food is available. And now also more and more people enjoy the healthy lifestyle, like exercise and have a good spirit. That's why I think just much more people have environmental opportunity to live so long. Maximum lifespan, I think, didn't change. So still, humans are super long livers for their body size. And we have doubled our lifespan in last 7 million years when we split with chimps. Chimps can live 60 years at max. So we are kind of fast evolvers. This, I think, is connected to our intelligence and ability to avoid pathogens by just, being smart, avoiding potentially infected individuals, hygiene, and not eating rotten food. So
Yeah,
yeah.
which is what is interesting because I suppose if we can prolong our lifespan, we've doubled it, which means obviously the body, the program of aging in our body goes slower than what it was going at before. But then why can't that same program extend our max lifespan as well? If it knows that we're living in an environment that's healthy and we perhaps don't have any crazy infections, then why isn't the program smart enough to also extend maximum lifespan?
So evolutionary, I think, can and it does. So I believe that if we will fail our attempt to solve aging, then in like a couple million years, we will be much more long-lived than now. The answer is yes, it can do it, and it does it. It just takes many generation and selection.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Why do you think there's certain animals like bowhead whales that live so long?
So I think again, for every ecological niche, there is a optimal lifespan, and it is defined by population structure and pathogen load. So the population structure also includes fecundity, and of course, in environments with low nutrition, animals propagate slowly, and they need time just to accumulate enough food and give birth to their babies. So in this case, you cannot afford shorter lifespan because we cannot reproduce them. This is probably the simplest explanation for bowhead whales and also other species that live in poor environments. We are trying to apply our framework to all other species that are typically presented in aging talks. And you can ask more about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to know because I think even some bats, for their body size, live quite long, 30 years or so. What is going on there?
Yeah, so we believe that in bats we have another effect. So the idea is that I want to help my relatives, right? You know the tragedy of the commons. If the classic example is that like 50 people decided to make a party and to make a big barrel of wine, everybody should contribute a bottle. And when the party started, they realized that the barrel contains pure water because everybody was thinking he will save and one bottle will be not visible there. But in the end, they ruined the whole project, right? So, and that's a conflict between communal and private. In this conflict, always the winning side is the private interest. And in case of evolution, it is like that as well. If I cannot save my own kids or my siblings with my adaptive death, then I don't do it. And the key assumption of the model is that I interact with my kin, my kids and my siblings, more than with my non-kin. And it depends on the parameter that is called population viscosity. So if I, let's say, fly across and interact with the individuals that are completely unrelated to me, then it's better to live long, infect all them, and they, with this, make life easier for my relatives who are competing with these non-related individuals, right? And if the viscosity is low, like in birds or bats, where like dispersal distances are 10 times more than for terrestrial mammals of their sizes, then the model predicts much longer lifespans because of this effect. I cannot help my my own relatives with my death.
So then, in the case of animals, more antisocial animals that aren't around relatives and kin, why don't they just live forever?
Very good question. And we have it in all our review letters. The reviewers are always asking that, and even write letters, like, criticism. But so for mammals, I can tell you, because for mammals, likely the pathogens of interest are sexually transmitted. And there are animals, there are no mammals that can reproduce without sex. So that's why it is not possible to be completely pathogen-free. On the if we speak about other animals, some of them are asexual, then immortality is possible. And indeed, some asexually reproducing animals can be very long-lived. And also, there are animals that eject the sexual products in water. I think in the ocean, such things exist. We also expect these to be quite long-lived. So, but this we haven't modeled, haven't thought much, because we mostly focused on mammals.
I guess, why do they die at all? Maybe they, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. No, I don't have an answer yet. Maybe some pathogens are still there, some residual effect, because still animals die of the age unrelated reasons, and longer you go with age, then smaller proportion of survivors is there. With some species, it can be that aging falls in the beginning and then was slowed down before it became ecologically neutral. That like a very, very tiny proportion is surviving to death of aging. It's clearly not true in mammals, because in mammals we have what is called type 1 survivorship curve, and we see that mortality grows with the age. But for some of the marine invertebrates, it might be true. It also can be that some very weak residual effects of pathogens is still there, even in these exotic cases.
And then what about Planaria in that case? What are they doing? Because they seem to be immortal.
Yeah, but they are also asexual, so they don't need to mate. At the same time, it can be that some of the organisms, they have more complex strategies. For example, Hydra, that also is immortal and also asexual, sometimes can switch to sexual and mortal mode in response to stress. So and then it is very logical that they are starting, if the stress is associated with infection, then it is logical that they start age, and with this they are trying to like protect the genome from these pathogens.
Do you think acute infections accelerates our aging as well, or is it more just for that small period the body takes a blip and then it's fine, or do you think it's contributing to this the aging process that happens with time?
Yeah, I think that in principle, so according to the model predictions, it should be like indeed a short and minor effects. However, of course, nature never works as predicted by model. And for example, many viruses are known to induce cellular senescence, right? And if cellular senescence sticks there, by some reason it's not cleared by the immune system, then it can be like a long-lasting problem, as we I think all seen in COVID, because there is I think long-lasting complications of COVID that are not associated with the presence of the virus itself. It is some trace, and I believe it's connected to senescent cells.
And
I,
what do you think contributes to senescent cells not being cleared away?
Good question. I don't know exactly why, in this case, in young individuals, senescent cells after virus are not cleared. So in old individuals, it's clear and that the immune system declines in its capacity to clear senescent cells.
Right. Do you think the our immune system starts declining more rapidly at a particular age, or do you think this immunity is declining even when we're teenagers and even when we're younger?
Uh, no, well, yeah, I'm not sure I can give a comprehensive answer to this question. What people say that they see phenotypes as early as after puberty, and I'm not sure that faster or slower is a uh, right like level of simplicity to describe the very complex changes that happen to the immune system. So you likely know all these papers that there are like phases. So like one phase is around 40, another one is around 60, and I believe that large contribution to these phases is coming from the immune system. So it seems to be that there is non-linear change, and fast and slow. Yeah, probably the answer is it is that the speed is not constant.
Which makes sense from an evolutionary perspective as well, because we want to pass on our genes. So if your reproductive years are your 20s and 30s, and then you're raising kids for a couple of years, the evolution would want you to live long enough to at least pass on your genes and be able to raise your kids for a while because they're so dependent in the beginning. So age 40 might be when your kids are perhaps old enough to fend for themselves, and age 60 might be after the grandparents' effects takes place, where, okay, now maybe you've contributed your role as a grandparent as well, passed on your wisdom, and now perhaps evolution doesn't care whether you live or not.
No, evolution always wants more kids, but indeed it wants more kids that survive to adulthood and be reproductively successful. Yes,
Right.
yes.
Well, so there's a tension right here which is evolution wants more kids, but then why do the female reproductive years stop at age whatever 35, 40, whatever that is? Like why does menopause kick in at earlier than perhaps maybe women could keep reproducing? And maybe that's the tension between your evolution wants more kids, but at the same time, it doesn't want kids that are not going to be healthy, and your risk of infection increases with age.
Yeah, so I believe that menopause is a secondary adaptation to aging. So as we know that the female will die at some point, not very long ago from now, and it is not as fit as before, and the risk of infection is higher. So that's why we sort of re-educated to be a tutor instead of being a mother.
So why isn't such a system built for men as well? Because their risk of infection also increases with age. So if they do pass on sexually transmitted diseases at the age of 50 or 60, that's not very good, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this I don't know. This needs to be modeled, and maybe just there is no good occupation for males because they just can hunt an animal, and they are generally useless after they are not physically fit, right? So they just die out there, and that's it. Uh,
Right.
Maybe
No, what I
there's.
mean is evolution should stop them from also being able to reproduce in the sense that pass on their sperm.
Uh, yeah, this is a good question. Maybe a potential answer is that probability of transmission from mother to kid is higher than from father to kid because a mother is like during pregnancy and weaning, she has a better chance to transmit the disease.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Plus, it's the mother that passes on the mitochondria as well. So perhaps it's if the mitochondria is defective and the energy system is not working in the mother, you don't want to toy with that.
No, this is a different model.
Okay. So young people then, why do you think you get sometimes young people get cancer? Even before, say, you've passed like in your 20s or even younger than that, but in your 20s or 30s, even before you've passed on your genes.
No, I don't think this is in the scope of the aging theory. So, of course, we are biological system mechanisms. Each mechanism has its own like robustness. So, of course, we are not 100% robust, unfortunately, and some of us get cancer. Specifically, if we have bad mutations, they can just be detrimental.
Okay, so I guess the implication of this theory is what can we do if we do want to extend our maximum lifespan? What does the theory imply?
No, we believe that we need to focus on immune system and that gerontology should become immunology more or less. If aging is part of immunity, it will be logical. So, and because right now, the situation in the field, different people are coming with different objects, mitochondria, proteostasis, somatic mutations, and everyone has his own favorite idea in their own language. So they even don't have a common language to discuss things. I think that this hypothesis gives a very good focus on specific object, immune system, and we can try to build like a new Esperanto that will allow to rephrase, reinterpret all the data in the field, translate it to this new language, and rationalize. And then we can build a meaningful hypothesis upon this work. So, like, for example, my lab is now working on cellular senescence, and we believe that cellular senescence is part of antiviral immunity because viruses induce cellular senescence, and if cells are senescent, they produce cytokines that can protect from viruses, and this looks like a perfect immune mechanism. And the idea is, okay, if it is so, then we can rationalize how the immune system should clear these senescent cells. For example, so if we believe that these senescent cells are here to protect against viruses, and probably immune cells should not kill them in the context of infection because they are doing their work. Then if the infection is gone, then they are need to be removed. So this puts it into a context that allows to design exciting and meaningful experiments.
So then in this case of clearing away senescent cells, senolytics is something that's been discussed. But from what I'm aware, the ITP study said that senolytics don't really work for lifespan extension. What's your take on that?
No, so I believe the studies first. Second, I don't think that the interpretation it can be as global as it is done. So because it can be that this senolytic treatments was not 100%, and it was not, and it can be that specific subtypes of cells in specific tissues, senescent cells, are more important than in other tissues. And I think in most of these studies, they looked at cells that are easy to look for, like adipose tissue, or I don't fibroblast. I don't exactly remember which tissues they took. So in my view, the first hit that I would test is cellular senescence in the immune system. You probably know this paper, Matthew Zevzadeh is the first author, so that cellular senescence in the immune system can promote systemic aging in solid organs. So, and this exactly fits my model. And I think that trying to rejuvenate the immune system should give a very good systemic beneficial effect for health.
The idea being that a more robust immune system will be able to fight off these infections and viruses even with age and as we start getting older.
No, not exactly. So the idea that one of the timers that calculate the time of our life is in the immune system. So, and this change is instructing how aging progresses in other organs. And if we focus specifically on rejuvenation of the immune system, we may get better effects if we would try to rejuvenate everything a little bit.
Right. But rejuvenating the immune system, I mean, is that more to fight off some of these viruses as part of the pathogen control theory of aging, or more just, rejuvenating the immune system would just somehow, it would change the program and extend our maximum lifespan? Which don't the two go together hand in hand, or is that not how you see
I
it?
think in this case, it's mostly the second option. So that so if we think aging is a problem, we can imagine which kind of mechanisms should be there. There should be timers that calculate time, and should be killers that kill the organs. Also, it should be something that modulates and regulates. It's like aging plasticity regulators. But just if we think what can be a timer on a systemic level, it's probably the immune system. So there can be also, probably there is redundancy. Probably there are like telomeres, mitochondria, selfish evolution can be also a timer. So also accumulation of somatic mutations that lead to cancer can be a timer. But if we need to take in account that there should be a master regulator that can slow down or fasten it all at once. Specifically in invertebrates and small animals, we see it very clearly that all the processes can be regulated at once. And what can be regulated at the systemic level, I think it should be immune system.
What if? Go ahead.
It is also logical that if aging is immune adaptation, then immune system should play a primary role in its development.
Do you think there's a way where we could fight off some of these viruses and pathogens without necessarily rejuvenating the immune system?
Wait a second. So we believe aging is part of the immune system. So it is there, and if we take a mouse, put it in sterile conditions, it will age the same way, right? So it is something in our bodies that kills us. If we want to remove aging, we need to break this program. So of course, younger immune system will probably fight viruses better. But I think we as humanity are already quite good in vaccinations, in antivirals, in antibiotics. So viruses is not our primary problem anymore. So, but of course, the younger immune system will be better.
I see. Interesting. So you're making a very subtle point here, which is that even though maybe the program in our immune system is there to fight off viruses from an evolutionary perspective, but currently we may say if someone doesn't deal with viruses, this program is still ticking. So even in the absence of any infections of viruses, the immune system is still aging, aging according to this clock, and hence it's about rewinding the immune system clock versus making the immune system more robust to fight off viruses, because regardless of whether we have viruses or not, this clock is going to keep ticking.
Yes, 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 yes. And coming back to the previous question that we discussed before, so the evolutionary, if we let it run for a couple million years, our immune system will, evolution probably will adjust the immune system that it is ticking slowly. But for this, we need many generations and selection.
Yeah. So, what do you think can be done to rejuvenate the immune system?
Boy, this I don't know, and I'm coming from a very different field. I'm not an immunologist. I'm a virologist and evolutionary biologist. I'm now interested in this very much. I'm trying to read, trying to talk with right people, but it is still quite a difficult topic for me, and I'm not sure I will be able to give a answer that would satisfy me and you. So, but there are people who are working on the rejuvenation of the immune system. So the Greg Fahey, who is trying to rejuvenate thymus for a long time. What my theory can contribute to this is that aging, according to my model, is not a loss of function, but a gain of function. So we need not to focus on things that we need to put back, but rather on the things that we want to remove from the immune system, that it will get rejuvenated. But it is a very high-level suggestion, and of course, I cannot give you. So far, I cannot give you a receipt for molecules, drugs, and cell types that we need to address. So
If we
there are very
crack, Mhm. if if we
there are
crack
things that are going
epigenetic
on.
reprogramming, and if we target it on immune cells, do you think that gets us 90% of the way there to increase lifespan?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think immune cells are part of it. Also, the cells that are involved in maturation of immune cells, like stromal cells in the thymus and in bone marrow, also can be a problem. But of course, if we can deliver things into specific cell types on systemic level in the body, it will be a strong move forward. I'm not sure that well, reprogramming is very cool. Maybe it can help. Yes.
Why do different people in different countries age at different have different max lifespans? Is that just how it's adapted to the environment?
I think so. I think so. Also, it can be, it can be very stupid reasons like body size. So it's known like for that big dogs are aging faster than small dogs, and same is true for people. So the also in the same population of people, people with short statures, they live longer. And it can be that the same can work on the population level. For example, Japanese were quite short until recently, and maybe this is partially contributing to their very long lives. Yeah.
Are you familiar
But
with Dr. Paul Ewald's work on how viruses are associated with many diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's?
To my shame, I cannot recall the name, but of course, I know that the Alzheimer and herpes, this work I know very well. Yes, I think the generally that HIV accelerates aging. It's was shown by several researchers. These works I am, of course, aware, and I am inspired by these studies. Yes.
But then does that fit in with your pathogen control theory of aging? Because it seems like it does, right? That these chronic diseases, chronic infections that you get, they want to prolong your lifespan as much as possible so they can pass it on to your relatives and then eventually ends up in disease, which is just you, and then you age and you
No,
die.
no. Yeah, yes, but the mechanism to me is different. So if we have a chronic disease, then we have arms race that pathogen wants to prolong life, but it's not always successful. But the immune system wants to shorten life, and so this chronic inflammation can trigger the onsets of age-related diseases such as Alzheimer's. So it is something that comes from the immune system and not from the virus. And in principle, immunotherapy can prevent these effects. So if we just keep the virus there, let's say at the same level, if we can target inflammation without targeting antiviral response, then it should be beneficial for the patient.
Oh, so you're saying don't actually target the virus.
We need to target the virus because if we
Right.
remove the immune system, virus will take on and kill us. But if we can remove decrease level of inflammation without giving virus an opportunity, so the protection is still there, but inflammation is lower, then we can get beneficial effects.
Okay, so this is counterintuitive. You're saying, in fact, the immune system in those cases is not acting in our favor because it
Yes.
wants us to just die off. So it's almost better if you don't have a healthy immune system.
Well, then you probably have troubles to get virus, right? So to fight viruses. So you need the immune system, but immune system has two activities. One activity is to protect you and your individual fitness, your opportunity to make babies. And on the other hand, it has activity to protect your inclusive fitness, which includes reproduction of your relatives. So it protects both, and depending on age, balance between these two mechanisms is changing towards your relatives, and inhibiting this other side of the immune system, according to our models, should be very beneficial for health.
Right, but you don't want the immune system to be so active in this case when you do get a chronic disease.
Yes, but this can be two different functions. So that protecting self and killing self, these two functions. So the protective function of the immune system that fights pathogens, and this activity that inflammation induction of the age-related diseases can be two different branches, and we probably may be able to address one of them without affecting much the good one.
Okay, fascinating. I see. Huh. Is there any research or threads on that, how you can target the immune system separately?
No, I think there are many indications that some of the activity within the immune system can be detrimental, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So like in arthritis, senescent chondrocyte, induce T helper, induce T cells to become T17 helpers that secrete interleukin 17 that makes more chondrocytes senescent. And this creates like a vicious cycle that makes a constant inflammation in the chondrion and results in arthritis. What is it for? Probably this is activity of the immune system that can be targeted, yes, and alleviate the symptoms of arthritis.
Wow. Fascinating. I mean, I think your theory is has a lot of counterintuitive implications, which most people don't think of. We've covered a lot. Is there anything else you think would be helpful to discuss?
Oh, I don't know what is the interest. I think we covered the health related issues quite well. So so we are now preparing a paper on rejuvenation, but it is a very philosophical paper because rejuvenation, we don't know if it can be reached, and like aging doesn't have a definition. Rejuvenation obviously also does not, because it's like reverse aging and the reversal of undefined something. But it is very important to know if rejuvenation is technically possible or not, and because should we take a old mouse and try to rejuvenate it, or should we take a mid-aged mouse and try to freeze it in its age? So this is something that must instruct our experiments. And the idea is that we try to approach it from the evolutionary perspective and found that rejuvenation is generally not compatible with damage accumulation, not compatible with agonistic pleiotropy and disposable soma. If we try to build our strategies upon these models, then we need to forget about rejuvenation. So this is the next provocation we want to publish soon. And of course, with the pathogen-control hypothesis, everything fits, and the rejuvenation is possible. And actually, the good news is that some animals rejuvenate or seem to rejuvenate. The most famous example are these medusas that can go reverse development, but also honeybees can rejuvenate sometimes. And this is like a philosophical part we are now excited of. And the second part is cellular senescence that we already covered. We are trying to find if some of the viruses can induce cellular senescence, and if this cellular senescence is antiviral, try to find mechanisms, try to find like clinical implications for this, because nowadays you cannot get money without clinical implications. So the idea is that cellular senescence induced by viruses sometimes largely contribute to pathogenesis, and this pathogenesis can, like in case of SARS, can stay with us for a long time. So we are trying to find this same with other viruses. So that's what problem to tell.
You said tiny bees can rejuvenate. Is that right?
Honeybees.
Honeybees, yeah. How do they manage to do that?
It is not clear how. So, but the idea is that how the life cycle of honeybee is organized. First, it is born, then it works as a nurse, cleaning up and feeding the youth and the queen, and then it goes to forage for food, goes out of the hive, forages for a couple more weeks, and then dies of aging. So, or by predation. So this transition from nursing job to the foraging job is accompanied by a robust health decline. So they have neural and overall physiological and immune demise, and this can be reverted, but it is reverted only if the colony is under stress. So if someone, researcher or a predator, eats or removes the nurses from the hive, then foragers should go back. and then they become nurses again, the physiological effects reverting, lifespan increasing. So it's clear that they technically can rejuvenate, but by some reason they do it under the threat of stress. So if the colony is really in danger, then okay, then we resort to rejuvenation. And where this choice, rejuvenation or death, comes from is not clear in the context of any other models except for mine. So,
Wow.
and the same is likely can be also exemplified in more animals, like also, the eusocial animals that have queens, which are long-lived workers that are short-lived. In some species, short-lived workers can become long-lived queens and back. So the worker has capacity to live long. Why should it choose death? So this is not explained by classic framework, and we are like producing very simple reasons why longer life can do that.
And you'd mentioned that rejuvenation is not compatible with the damage accumulation theory. Why is that?
No, because if aging is damage, right, and let's say aging is damage, meaning aging is generally bad, right? All these models under insecurity damage and disposable soma consider aging as something by definition bad, right? Then if we have a technical opportunity to rejuvenate, then we need to evolve it. So, but we don't see much of rejuvenation in animals. So if we don't see that, it means that evolution has evolution has incentive, it didn't produce it. It meaning that it's mechanistically impossible. Based on the argument that evolution tried all the possible mechanistic opportunities, and if we cannot see much on the biospheric level, it means that this mechanism is not possible to evolve from. So then, since we don't see rejuvenations ubiquitously and see it only in few exotic cases, it means that rejuvenation should not be possible according to this model. So if rejuvenation is possible and we don't see it much, then it means that aging is good for something. And that's what we are trying to.
What about cases where you have, say, a Brian Johnson example? Are you familiar with him?
Of course, yes.
Right.
No, so I didn't have a handshake with him, but I saw his talk.
Okay. Yeah.
Vitalis Bay. Have you been to Vitalis Bay?
No, I couldn't make it.
Yeah, it was a good event.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about cases like Brian Johnson, where in his 50s, he says he's, I mean, we can leave aside whether his biological age is actually younger or not, because those clocks, it's hard to tell how effective they are. But certainly, I mean, he feels healthier than he was maybe in his 30s, right? Or maybe looks better. So isn't that a case of rejuvenation to some extent?
I wouldn't say so. So it is a difficult question, because if aging is not defined, we don't know how to measure it, and everybody can say whatever, and we cannot really argument, because what is the metric for aging? So we need to wait until he dies and then say if it's true or not. So I think this is a problem with all the people historically claiming aging. We cannot be sure until they are dead.
I suppose health span and lifespan are different in this model. Your model is mostly predicting lifespan, not necessarily health span.
Yeah, but the health span is much more adjustable, right? So the extra weight, if he was overweight before, then probably he's indeed feeling much better. Yeah, but I think he's a controversial figure. Still, that he sells products, right? So he is building like community. I saw his talk. He is I think he is like a sect person. Like he's trying to build a new religion around his idea. So this AI will come and save us, and we are here to survive to this AI messiah. So if you join the sect and you pay $50, and he sends you his supplements. So I think it's like a business model. I'm not sure if it's generally good or generally bad. From one side, he is attracting people's attention to the issue. On the other hand, I think I'm not sure that he has strong scientific grounds to what he does.
Okay, awesome. Well, is there anything else you'd like to mention, maybe about upcoming research, or I know you already touched upon that, but any other points you'd like to make?
I want to make a general point that I think, according to my model, we are in the very beginning of our attempt to cure aging. But at the same time, so that because in your introduction to the podcast, you say that we made a lot of progress. I don't think so. And if in this Vitalist Bay, there were some speakers who were saying that we failed, and now we need to switch to freezing people or to replace heads, like a full body replacement. So that this is not a good sign. But still, I think that I want to encourage your followers that our body is obviously a physical object. Aging is a biological process, and it cannot be that there is a biological process and we cannot do anything around it. So there are no miracles in the world. It should be possible to tackle. Generally, I'm thinking about all that. I'm really surprised that there are 8 billion people. They all will die. Seems to be a big problem. Seems to be a solvable problem. But in the public domain, the attention to this issue is much smaller than we would expect. And with this, I'm very grateful to people like you who are trying to spread the word in a reasonable way. Not trying to sell supplements for $50.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. But do you think it's possible for us to be somewhat healthy up until our 90s or hundreds, and then just have a short period of time where we're more unhealthy or frail before we die? Do you think it's possible for us to at least have this health span going well into our 90s, even if we can't extend maximum lifespan as much?
This is a good question. Of course, we can maintain our body better or worse, and this is clear from all this. Like obesity is very bad, inflammation is very bad. Sleep is important, social status, social connections are very important. So, but all these facts, like your grandmother would probably tell you if you ask her. So this is not something new. Now we have some scientific ideas how to explain it, and some statistical power that says that grandmothers were right. So the question about the rectangularization of lifespan is there. So I believe that this hypergam health span is there because lifespan failed. So I don't see if you have this meme from Pedro Magalhães, who said that the meme is about Beckham. He's saying his wife is saying we need to focus on lifespan. He says, say truth. I'm saying truth. Say truth. Okay, my intervention didn't increase lifespan. Thank you. So in principle, it can be something like this, because we see that there are phases and phases of aging, and the last phase like starts in 80, and it is like exponential decline. Maybe we can delay this onset a little bit, but I still believe that focusing on lifespan is the right way to go, and health span is just a social effect, so that we cannot do much on on lifespan, but we need to produce practical results that would satisfy investors and granting agencies, and say, okay, we do transitional research, and for that we invented this health span. I don't think that it will give us results that we'll be satisfied with.
So Nir Barzilai's research on centenarians says this, right? I think he said that most centenarians seem pretty healthy up until they die. What do you think could be going on there?
Well, I think these are just very healthy people, right?
And then the clock just runs out and then they die.
No, yes, there is. I don't know if you're familiar with Peter Fedischer's work. He's also a very original researcher who is trying to apply another new language. He applies physical language to study aging, and he says that there is like a linear phase of aging and then exponential phase of aging, and this onset of exponential phase can be probably shifted a little bit, and if the general linear component is slower, then maybe the exponential part can be also moved to the later onsets. Yeah, this is very general. I'm not. I have no idea about human health, unfortunately.
But do you think that's in our genes? Because I think Nir Barzilai says it's mostly genetic for centenarians.
Yeah, I would believe him. Yeah, I don't have enough expertise to argue his research. Yeah. So I think there should be environmental and genetic component. How much are they related? I don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. If you wish to be notified of future podcast episodes and my writing on longevity and the frontiers of biology, please subscribe at livelongerworld.com. And if you're enjoying the show, please leave a rating on Apple, Spotify, or elsewhere. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.